Hey everyone, my name is Scruffy. Today I'm gonna present you the next dungeon of the War Within, the Darkflame Cleft. If you're interested in the whole playlist and even more guides like Path of Exile, make sure to check out my YouTube channel. For all other guides like class guides and delve guides, make sure you check out yourmmo.com. And without stealing more of your time, let's hop into the Darkflame Cleft. On your way to the first boss, you encounter a few several enemies. Rank Overseer casts Wild Wallop, creating a large circle around himself that deals damage to players inside of it. Overpowering Roar just deals damage to all players and buffs all other enemies to deal 10% more damage. Royal Wiglighter casts Flashpoint, a debuff on a random player, dealing damage over time, but can be de-spelled. Wiglighter Bolt just deals damage to a random player. Lowly Molehurt throw Rock on a random player, and they also cast Mole Frenzy, which will cause all nearby Pack Mole to be enraged. Those Pack Mole themselves attack the tank and apply Nasty Nibble on them, a debuff that currently does not stack, but might do in the future. And after killing a lot of these, including some of the non-elites, you encounter the first boss. The boss uses Rockbuster on the tank, dealing heavy damage and applying a 25% damage taken increase for 6 seconds on the tank. All Waxbit targets the furthest player in your group with Reckless Charge, and then charges towards him. This deals very high damage to players struck in its path, knocks them, and also kills all adds. So the main mechanic of this fight is Call to Arms, causing several adds to run into the encounter area all the time. These adds do attack the tank with melee attacks, but sometimes switch targets when the player gets affected by Luring Candle Flame. This is a regular debuff applied by the boss and has to be healed off by the healer. This causes though that all adds will fixate onto that player. Throughout the fight, cards will rush through the arena over the train tracks. These are indicated by a glowing up effect. This will deal heavy damage to players struck, but kill all adds that were hit too. Players that are fixated by the adds need to aim them into the charge or through the cards rushing in. The boss also spawns some swirls below each player after his charge, which would also kill these adds. Last is Unhanded Tractics. Sometimes a cart is driving in that has dynamite loaded on it. This has to be killed within 20 seconds or it explodes for deadly damage. On your way to the second boss, Kobold Taskworker used Bonk, creating a circle underneath a player that stuns and deals damage when he finishes his cast. Blazing Fiend cast Explosive Flame, which is interruptible, creating several swirls that quickly explode and deal damage to players. Wandering Candle cast Quenching Blast, dealing damage to players within 30 yards, so you're lucky if you're standing on range. Surging Wax creates a swirl around the Wandering Candle, dealing damage to players within 10 yards. Sad millies. The second boss is Blazicon. Key mechanic of this fight is Wiglighter Barrage and the candles that are circling the room. Wiglighter Barrage spawns several swirls on players, detonating on impact, and lighting all candles on fire that are hit. When a candle is set on fire, inside flames will make it spawn void zones in a cone towards the boss. Extinguishing Gust are little tornadoes that follow players, dousing all candles that are hit, so make sure to never kite them through them. And Kindling Inferno is a cone aiming towards all candles that are not lit up, dealing very high damage to players. Players can hide in the spot towards a candle that was already set on fire. And right after Enkindling Inferno, she uses Dousing Breath to turn off all candles, dealing damage to all players and pushing them back once. Repeat all phases until the boss is dead. After a quick roleplay with a Wandering Candle and several caster non-elites, you encounter two mini-bosses you have to fight together. Torch Snarl uses Pyro Pummel. This is a frontal cone in the direction of a tank, so make sure to face this away. When he targets a player with one-hand headlock, make sure to aim it away to not get hit in its path. Torch Snarl will grab players and stun them for 7 seconds. Currently, it's unknown if you can line of sight this ability. Suit Snout uses Candle Flame Bolt to attack the tank, and Flaming Tether onto a random player. This channel cast will root the targeted player, but can be interrupted. Ceaseless Flame is his frontal cone, spraying fire in front of him. Afterwards, you encounter the Candle King. The main mechanic on this boss fight are Airy Modes. This spawns wax statues of each player that pulsate for damage. This damage becomes unbearable the more statues are alive. These statues also have a small void zone around them that stuns players for 20 seconds that are coming into contact with them. This can be very deadly if you're running into it. To destroy these wax statues, the boss aims his pickaxe to a random player, indicated by an arrow from the boss. This deals heavy damage to players hit, but instead you want to aim it towards wax statues and run behind them, so they get destroyed and take the damage. Throw Darkflame is a debuff on several players, dealing damage in a 5-yard radius around each targeted player. And upon expiration, it destroys all wax statues that were hit by this. Players should try to position themselves close to a statue without running into it and getting stunned. And last, Paranoid Mind is a caster that you need to interrupt, otherwise it fears all players for 4 seconds. In order to reach the last boss, players have to escort now a cart that has a lit candle on it. This will also be a similar boss mechanic. The candlelight depletes over time and has to be refilled. Players outside of the candlelight have their damage and healing reduced by 99%. Walk close to the candles to automatically pick them up, then walk back to your cart and replenish it. The cart also only moves if a player is nearby. Scattering Darkness adds will die with an explosion on the floor, so make sure to dodge that. Shuffling Horror adds run towards your cart and cast Drain Light if not engaged into combat with players. They attack the tank with regular attacks, but they also cast Shadow Smash in the direction of a tank a typical frontal cone. And last, Corridor Creeper gets a 10% damage increase for each corpse that is nearby with Eater of the Dead. They seem to not have any other ability, but hurt the tank quite a bit. After a little roleplay ride, you'll be on your way to finally fight the last boss. Swallowing Shadows is the main mechanic in this fight. A candle can be picked up by a player, but this pacifies them. You can walk around with this candle and place it again, and this is going to be really important. If any player is not in the candlelight, they deal 99% less damage and heal. If the heat of the candle is depleted, the boss casts Rising Gloom, dealing damage and reducing players' damage and haste permanently. This effect can stack and will cause wipes if your candle is depleted too often. Players can pick up Wax Lump to restore some heat to the candle. These are laying around from dead NPCs. The boss uses Eternal Darkness, dealing damage every 1 second for 4 seconds, which also drains heat from the candle. The boss also uses Umbral Slash in the direction of the candle, trying to deplete more heat of it. Players have to pick up the candle again and move it out of this frontal cone. Shadow Blast is a debuff on a random player, creating a 10-yard circle around them, dealing damage in that radius and depleting candle heat if it gets hit. And last, Call Darkspawn is an interruptible cast that would spawn an ad that tries to deplete even more candlelight.